Hello, I'm David Gauntlett. Unfortunately, I can't be at the Crafts Council's Assemble conference with you today, so instead this is a live feed from my garden. It's not a live feed from my garden, it's a badly edited video, as you will see, but at least I made it myself. I've written a book called Making is Connecting, amongst other things. Making is Connecting is about how people making things online is part of a continuum with people being creative offline, which people have been doing for thousands of years before the terms online or offline were invented. I think it's exciting that there are now opportunities for people to make and share things more than they ever could before. Sharing being the previously difficult thing, distributing what you've made and enabling other people to see it and be inspired by it and being inspired by what they've made and so on. That's what's all really exciting. People finding opportunities to express something about themselves, to convey meanings, ideas, and share those with others, and exchange and collaborate with people who they otherwise would have found it very difficult to meet because they're not geographically close and they weren't aware of each other and didn't know they had shared interests until online platforms obviously enable people to find like minds and to make and share stuff together. And there's a lot of exciting potential there, I think. In this video, the Crafts Council has, via its website and via Twitter, has encouraged people to tweet with Ask David as a hashtag. Ask David G. They've asked me questions. That's me on Twitter. That's the hashtag. Hopefully you're all tweeting with Assemble 2012. Those of you on Twitter. You don't have to be on Twitter. But and obviously I'll respond to any questions you have live during the course of this video. I won't do that. It's a badly edited video. I told you before. I'm making this on September the 5th or something. So let's see what we've got. Starting with a hard one. This is from Anthony McCann, who asks, why does craft and crafting matter? Now, as with all these questions, you'll all have your own answers to these, which should be just as good and as valid as mine. But I'm on a video now, so I better tell you what I think. Craft and crafting matters because it's about people being able to communicate something about their human spirit within a thing that they've made, and ideally for it to be seen by others and therefore enter into a sort of relationship of exchange of ideas or feelings with other people. That's what crafting is about, and it's about that whether people are making ceramics or whether they're making online videos or other online presentations or artworks or digital things or real world things. I think all have this in common. It's about people wanting to communicate something about themselves. In Making is Connecting, I connect, strangely perhaps, the work of the arts and crafts movement thinkers like William Morris and John Ruskin, who were all about people being able to make things, express themselves, share ideas through things that they've made, connecting that with the world of Web 2.0, where people can do that as well online in the digital space. It's in no way saying that we sort of have to evolve from the older, more traditional kind of crafts through to new digital things. I'm saying it's all part of the same thing. And I don't mind if people are making things online or offline or a bit of both and using technology to sort of move between the two different spaces. That can be very interesting too. I'm going to do brief answers to all of these or it'll take too long. And this one, Lewis Wiener asks, and 63 Harbour Street asked a very similar question. You say creativity is about process rather than product. Do you think well-made products are important too? Well, of course, it depends what you're talking about, and it's nice to have well-made products. It's nice to have well-made things in your home rather than shoddily made things. Nobody really wants shoddily made things in their life compared to well-made things. We like well-made things. But the importance of the process of making rather than quality of the end product I emphasize, because I think creativity, as we understand it in the most common sense way, is about the feeling of having made something yourself, which you can see in a product where you see something that somebody has made and you go, ooh, very creative. it's a nice creative thing they've made. You can see the effort they've put into it and the passion that's gone into it. And then judgments about quality sit external to that. So, you can worry about quality if you want, and quality is important perhaps if you're as a consumer of objects. But as a maker of objects, the most important thing is that you've had a go, that you've tried to make something, you've put effort and thought and perhaps love into the thing that you're making. And that's why I emphasize process rather than product. I think it's the most important aspect of creativity. Creativity shouldn't just be judged by whether what you've made is as good as what somebody else more experienced has made. That doesn't seem so helpful or fruitful. Katie Smith asked, can online networks encourage more diverse or democratic opportunities for makers to collaborate than their offline equivalent? One thing, I don't know what their offline equivalent is. The point of online networks is just that you can connect with lots of people in lots of different places, people who you didn't previously know they existed. They sort of find each other online. And that tends not to happen so much in real life, just because it's harder to organise getting people together. So it does encourage perhaps more diversity, though people still have a tendency to sort of work with people who are like them. Somewhat more democratic, perhaps. But basically, it does give you the opportunity to find more people, different people from different spheres, people with different ideas, which you can then connect with your own, and can be very fruitful and really drive new sort of creative things that you previously just wouldn't have thought of, and wouldn't be doing. Ronnie Rose, who's actually Ronnie Littlewood, asks, how have digital technologies changed notions of who or what is creative? I don't know if digital technologies have changed anything like that per se in themselves, but in terms of who gets the chance to be creative now, who can speak, who can represent themselves, I think digital technologies have broadened that out, because in the past, to communicate using sort of media forms like this, for instance, then you tended to need to be the owner or employee of a movie studio, a broadcasting company, and to have access and the ability and to be selected to speak in those spaces. And nowadays that's completely changed, and many different kinds of people, not requiring particular qualifications or really difficult skills, can make stuff and get it out there and get it seen by other people. It's not easy or automatic to get your stuff seen by other people, but it's certainly possible, and it's certainly changed the range of people that we see in the people speaking in media kind of space, or people speaking in sort of self-representational spaces, whatever they are. There's new spheres now where people can get their message out there, communicate their ideas, show stuff they've made, which was just very difficult to do before. There were sort of parallels or equivalents before, but they were very hard to access, and you needed permission from other people. That's changed. Finally, here we've got Kat Rossi, who asks, what do you think is the biggest challenge for a connected, made future? That assumes we want a connected, made future, which I think we do. That would be a future where people are communicating themselves, finding ways to connect with other people, sort of making their own stuff rather than having stuff made for them. What I talk about in Making is Connecting is basically the choice between a world where we're all just consumers of stuff made by others, maybe made by professionals, or a world where we mostly make and share our own stories and those of people around us, a diverse, broad bunch of different voices that we can consume, or whether it's more like a set menu. So I think we need to avoid homogeneity. We need to avoid the ways in which technology companies try to lock things down, so that the early promise of digital technologies was all about quite democratic access and lots of people being able to make and share things. now certain tools seem to be more restricted and more aimed at a kind of consumer mode to all of the stuff that you can receive online. And I think there should always be the opportunity heavily pushed for a maker mode, not just a consumer mode, but a maker mode in any technology, whether it's an iPad or whatever. It should enable you to be a maker, not just a viewer. As well as that, of course, environmental concerns. We need everything to be sustainable and for the planet to not collapse before we get the chance to enjoy this future. Finally, maybe I should just say on innovation. I know you're talking about innovation today. Innovation is often associated these days with technology, electronics companies. But innovation is just about doing things in new ways. And that is something which craft people do, arts and humanities and other kinds of people do all the time. Vigorously thinking about how to do things in new ways is something you learn at art school more than anywhere else, perhaps. And so innovation is not science and technology. Innovation is all kinds of things. And it's about having ideas. And it's a thing that we need to cultivate through education and support for crafts and all kinds of artistic, creative activities, I think, and not let innovation be seen as just the job for computer scientists. God bless them. Computer scientists and technology people do a great job at developing new tools for us, but innovation is more than that. So that's just a few thoughts I had. I hope we can continue these conversations either in online or offline spaces. And meanwhile, enjoy the rest of your conference, and thank you.